Hello YouTube. Pardon my appearance, I just got out of the shower, but I wanted to come on and talk a little bit about the small Panoti. To be more specific, the Ashtama Shani, which is 8 houses away from the moon. I'm currently undergoing my Ashtama, and I think it's important to talk about what I'm experiencing and what I've experienced so far and how my life has changed, because it has. And hopefully, somebody who's listening to this will find this to be useful, to hear how it's impacted me. Um, I am in a Pisces small Panoti. And in my birth chart, and I kind of divide these. So I use whole sign primarily for like predictive events, but whole sign is more about concrete events, and Platicus is more about the psychology behind those events and where you feel at the psychology of that. So Saturn whole sign is in my seventh house of Pisces, and is in my sixth house of Pisces, Platicus. Now, what I tend to do with this, and I know that this may not be something that many astrologers do or really recommend, I read it based off of tropical. So sidereally, my Saturn is in Pisces, but in tropical, my Saturn is in Aries, and everything that's happened to me as a result of the small Panoti is accurate, and everything in my tropical chart with Saturn in Aries at the exact time has been accurate. So I tend to correlate those two things together when I'm making these types of reading for myself and others. Um, so my small Panoti I entered into it in March of 2025. And at the very beginning of that year, really the late 2024, um, I started having some health issues with my digestion. I could not figure it out. It made me crazy. It was affecting my performance at work, and it was making me very self-conscious. Um, and I also was not great at taking care of myself, like hygienically. So that really, that entire time, I spent time trying to unravel that. And around that time, I started having more issues with my mother and the house and my siblings, and, you know, looking at things and, thinking critically, and, realizing that maybe, some of the stuff I really don't like the way that they were treating me, the way that they were acting, things were they were saying, but I kept it to myself and let it build up. And that was how it was, generally speaking. And then I was also having some issues at work too, but it was minor. About like productivity with that, and then other stuff. My attendance was very bad, but that I was able to get that situated. Not obviously considering everything that's happened now, but that was able to get situated. Um, and then in December of 25, so last year, December of last year, I dislocated my shoulder. And it's kind of like a super weird story. I was at my sister was looking for houses to buy. She still is. She didn't take this house, thank God. But I was with her and my dad. My dad's a real estate agent. He was trying to help her find places to look at. And they were having an inspection. And in this house, the stairs were very, very, very narrow. And I missed a step, and I fell down a couple of the stairs, and landed right on my shoulder, knocked it out of place. We went to the hospital. Um, they botched my IV. They blew it. It was just, I was a mess. I was in so much pain. I've never been in that type of pain before, so that was really hard. And because of that, I was out of work. Now, during this time, after I had gotten home from the hospital and up until January 13th, which was the day before I was scheduled to go back to work for my leave, but was also the day that I got kicked out. Between that time frame, I started having these intense realizations that, you know, there are things that I can't do in my mother's house. There are things that, I feel really toxic about. That's very toxic, toxic behaviors, very controlling behavior. I wasn't able to do my laundry. I wasn't able to do all this stuff. And, I needed to get that release. My clothes smelled like mold because the basement was filled with mold. So whenever we'd get our clothes washed, it would just reek of mold. It sucked. There was mold in my room, and mine had probably some of them worse because you could see it. It was out there. And during this time, that all kept building and building and building. And, we were having small bickering moments here and there where, different things, like even sometimes like more philosophical debates and discussions, until that final straw where we had that fight that I got kicked out on the 13th. I went back to school. I went back to work that next day. And that whole separate living at my dad's for a month. February comes around. I moved to this place, a family friend of my dad's, and it was great while it lasted, but it was not what I had anticipated. I thought I was going to be there longer, and there was a lot that I was not involved in. There was a lot that I was not aware of in the decision making between my dad and this person. So I had to leave, and I nearly was homeless. In a breaking point, I did reach out to a coworker, and I got this place that I'm in now, thank God, by the grace of God, and I moved in. On top of that, financial issues, and then after that, I was struggling here a little bit to stay on time. I was late on my rent, because I couldn't afford it. It was rough, and I was trying to juggle all these expenses on a retail salary and Trader Joe's, and that's just not very manageable. And during this time, after I had moved in, things were fine for I think I got like a break for a few months. And then Mercury becomes retrograde, which I made a video on my experience with that. And here we are, me questioning whether or not I'm truly appreciated, whether or not I'm truly valued, whether my authentic voice and self is really appreciated by management, and waking up to things that I tolerated before, treatment that I tolerated before, but I will not tolerate any longer. Abusive treatment, toxic treatment, asking to advance multiple times while other people are getting hired and are getting all these opportunities. Well, I've been asking for 2 years, and you're saying that I need to advance, but at the same time when I ask you, you want to gaslight me and make me feel like I'm talking to a brick wall. Like that type of behavior. And, that so far has been my experience. It has a lot to do about, cutting ties with people, alignment. My Saturn is in my 7th house. That's partnership, that's relationships, how you relate to people, what boundaries you set, how much of your energy you give away, especially with the 6th house psychology behind it. So mental health, physical health, well-being, that definitely ties into it. And then also financially, I've struggled a lot financially. I've never felt like this before. It's stressful, but I've made it this far, barely holding on. But a lot of financial stresses too. I'm in a ton of debt. My car loan, I have like a really high interest rate. It's just a mess right now. I didn't anticipate me being in this position a year ago when I bought the car at 20. I was 18 when I bought the car. No, I was 9. I had just turned 19 when I bought that car. Like a few days after my 19th birthday. But here I am, and everything happens for a reason. I think I'm going to end the video here. I just wanted to share that. Hopefully somebody will see this. They will, appreciate it. So, maybe they may feel like their life is over, but they're not alone because other people have gone through this and I'm still standing. Yeah, I haven't completed it yet. I'm still actively in it, but you can make it through. You'll be okay. I've made it through and I'm still standing. So, thank you for listening, and I will keep you guys posted. Um, I think the next video I'm going to do will be talking about my time with Jupiter in my 10th house and what I've also experienced in my career, because even though there have been lows during this point, there have also been really strong highs at this workplace during this point too. So keep tuned.